Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first event in a week of lectures and webinars to mark the 40th anniversary of the IGS. In this week, we're going to showcase some great thinking and insights from IGS members around the world, and we'll also give you the opportunity to quiz the IGS officers on the activities of the IGS and our future plans. My name is John Krause, and I'm the IGS's Executive Director. Please note that today's event is being recorded so that we can share with members who are unable to attend the live session. Now, it's my pleasure today to introduce IGS Vice President Edoardo Zannoni. Edoardo became the Vice President in 2022, and he was previously Secretary General of the IGS after joining the Council in 2012. Edoardo was also the president of the Geosynthetics Interest Group of South Africa from 2015 to 2018. And in his day job, Edoardo is the geotechnical section manager at Knight Pisold, Southern Africa, where he works on projects across the continent. Now, Edoardo is going to present on what we're doing to ensure that the IGS becomes more influential. We'll welcome any questions you have, so please use the Q&A function to put your questions or comments, and we will put those to Edoardo later on and have a discussion. But first of all, Edoardo is going to present. So, Edoardo, welcome, and over to you.
Hi, John. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's a pleasure to open this 40th anniversary series lecture, opening today and then spanning across all the 4 days. I hope you'll find this insightful. Really looking forward to some of the lecture, or most of all the lectures that are going to be presented during this 40th anniversary. Today, just with regards to us, the officers, I've put a few slides on just to get some thinking going for all of you and about what influential is. So if you allow me to go through the presentation. But first of all, the vision. Let's remind ourselves what IGS is and what's the vision for the International Geosynthetics Society. And the vision is for geosynthetics to be recognized as fundamental to sustainable development by providing technological and engineering solutions to answer societal and environmental challenges. This is the vision of IGS. And how are we going to accomplish this vision, or the term for which Sam Allen is president? But we see the vision as sustainable through representative, trusted, and influential. And we see those 4 leading to the IGS vision as the strategic goals. And just as a reminder, the 4 goals will be discussed across the officers through the Ask IGS officers, like I'm doing here today for the next hour. So if I look at influential, and I will refer to the strategy report that we published in May of this year for the 2022-2026, when we talk about influential, it means that we influence policies and practice to increase the use of geosynthetics. So that's what influential in detail is. Create sharing platform with non-engineering organization of the likes of environmental, social, and governments, or ESG, in terms of finance, in terms of risk. And lever existing relationship with sister societies, and increase the impact the chapters, IGS chapters, have on regulator standards and university across the world. So let me briefly unpack all those 4 in a bit more detail. When we're talking about influence policies and practice, you see here the map of the IGS, of all the chapters around the world, and we have established chapters in more than 50 countries. Chapters that are closely connected to the local or regional dynamics that are part of, they represent the academia, the university, the consulting, or the contracting, manufacturing, as well as, in some cases, regulatory agency. These chapters form the backbone of IGS. As you might be aware, the IGS has chapters. If you look at the big of the worldwide IGS International, actually there are very few members of it. All the members are part of chapters. And that is where we can create synergies at local level, at regional level, that sometimes get expanded all the way to international level through creating platform for use of geosynthetics. Create sharing platform with non-engineering organization. As the IGS, we also worldwide society. And we will engage over the next few years with non-engineering organization to develop platform for engagement to embrace what we say the short, medium, and long-term challenges around the world. To mention a few: climate change, sustainability, microplastic, all of those that are affected worldwide, that requires a diverse input to solve the challenges that we have. And we see that once again, to starting at any level, to start from local, so through an IGS chapter, regional, through our regional chairs, through our technical committee, and through also IGS ambassadors program. Level existing relationship with sister society. As you might be well aware, the IGS has joined FedEx in 2014, and through three joint technical committee, we were able to provide geosynthetic integration across different engineering community, which ISSMGE, ISRM, EIG. What we're gonna do in terms of influential, we also are planning to increase our relationship to create synergy among society, to deliver joint webinars or workshop or even a conference, increasing in terms of technical level, with multidisciplinary topic, and also leading towards establishing further relationship with other sister society. Here you can see on the screen, I mentioned a few such: ICO, ICMM, IECA, ISWA. Try to build platform of engagement where the IGS chapter, the IGS members can engage with stakeholders of different technical background. Because remember that geosynthetics are part of the engineering community, and we need to create this relationship across the sister society. Lastly, increase the impact the chapters have on regulators, standards, and university. Now, this one at ISO and ASTM level, IGS is already represented by individuals as observer, reporting back to the IGS councils. So this one creates a link between those organizations, as well as in most countries, there is IGS representative that have an official position in standard bodies. In every country, you have a representative that will be a observer member or a voting member, depending on the type of standards body that is regulated. But where the influential comes in is to have the IGS or to sit in those discussion where guidelines are developed or where standards are developed, which requires the use of geosynthetics. We have seen that regulations are published every day across the world. And sometimes, unfortunately, the geosynthetics component is lacking, or actually could be jeopardized by just merely the lack of knowledge on geosynthetics, which actually sits with each and every one of us as IGS member to go and showcase the ability that geosynthetics have to solve engineering challenges. So with this one, I just wanted to brief you up. I don't want to take too much time. I really would like to have discussion over your questions. And I hope you found this insightful. And John, I'll give it back to you so we can go through some Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Edoardo. And just a reminder to everybody that's listening, if you'd like to ask a question, just put it in the Q&A function. You should be able to see that, and we'll pick all those questions up and put them to Edoardo. But just to get the ball rolling, I think, Edoardo, if we want to be influential, a big part of that is being able to explain why we're passionate about geosynthetics and what they can do. So can I just start with asking you a little bit about, what is it that led you to have a career in geosynthetics that made you passionate about the subject?
Yeah, thanks, John. It's quite a interesting question about. I came through my master study. I got exposed to geosynthetics. Actual fact, I was asked to develop, to look into geotextile tubes to be used as coastal protection. Quite interesting. I was that first exposed to geotextiles. My professor at that time, no one knew geosynthetics, so I had to research what geotextiles were. I got exposed to what geosynthetics were, and everything opened up. So that is where I first came across geosynthetics. And funny enough, then I even got asked to present on geosynthetics. So I don't want to say if I do find the presentation was probably very high level, but that's how I got introduced to geosynthetics.
And in that time that you've been working with geosynthetics throughout your career, what are the innovations that you've seen that you found the most inspiring and most exciting that you really want to talk to others about?
Oh, John, I work over 15 years using geosynthetics, so I don't want to say I know a fair bit. But when I talk about geosynthetic, is always in my profession, there is a challenge, and could be a technical challenge, could be a social challenge, it could be an environmental challenge. And what geosynthetic brings is a different facet, a different set of tools that can be used by engineers to solve problems. And I've seen in my career, if we're looking at road embankments, I've done a lot of road embankment, which if you don't use geosynthetics, I'm sure you're very familiar, you can't build more than 1 in 3. And now you have land take challenges, you have issue of erosion, and all of a sudden you are able to design slopes at 45 degree, 1 in 1, if not all the way up to vertical. And that's actually, it's almost impossible to build using natural material. You have to refer back to the concrete technology, the reinforced concrete. So this one shows you how the marvelous technology that is behind geosynthetics. The apex, to me, of geosynthetics, if I look at environmental protection, if you're looking at protecting the environment, for the technical people, you calculate leakage rate. That's so is how much a pollutant you will seep through your ground, and that is marvelous what geosynthetic can do. You are replacing 300 millimeter compacted clay with 5 millimeter of bentonite. Now you're comparing 300 millimeter with 5 millimeter. TCB has done a lot of work, so I'm not going to repeat the cost effectiveness that you have. And also in terms of quality, you're sitting with natural material that are variable. Now you have a manufactured quality control product, which it makes your life easier inside. So I think, John, these are the few comments, few examples where I think geosynthetics is. Someone say that every engineer should know geosynthetics, and I think I stand by that. That is, it open up a new set of tools to
Wonderful.
solve problems.
Thanks, Edoardo. The passion there for the subject's really coming through. And I want to put a question to you that's come through from Ignacio Zuluaga, who says, "Good day, thanks for the invitation. Which geosynthetic application activity is the least used and the one that could have the most usefulness?" So are you seeing any applications of geosynthetics that we're really not using enough that could really have a big impact? Do you have any views on that?
Yes, thank you. I think geosynthetics is creeping into all the engineering solution. I think the big one, the real elephant in the room, if I must say, is roads. Roads, I don't think we have even scratched the surface. I've done some road design in my career, and you can actually use five layers of geosynthetics to reduce your pavement thickness. How marvelous is that? And the quality that you get. We're building roads in Africa where we struggle to find aggregate. Now you are able to use geosynthetics to use natural material. Build factories over a soft material where there was no means rather than piling. And we just built the compacting natural soil, so not very engineering strong, and we reinforce it. So I think that is where the big elephant in the room is what we call horizontal application, roads, platforms, railways. There are kilometers and kilometers of network that can benefit from the use of geosynthetics. Indeed, that. And John, I believe there was also a follow-up on that. Ignacio was asking.
Yeah, so he was asking what's the one that's most underused, but what could have the biggest impact?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest impact, I think, is in environmental protection. I'm personally involved in mining application, environmental protection, and I think that is where you cannot have it without geosynthetics. It's impossible. If you think of replacing a high-density polyethylene geomembrane or GCL, it's absolutely impossible. I've personally been asked by clients to see other options, because sometimes the lead time of those products going in the middle of Africa is long, and the risk was just too high. So the clients have opted for waiting for that material. So that is where I think the geosynthetic is thriving, and actually there is no other material that can perform such.
Thank you. And we've had a question online about, will we share the recording afterwards? The answer to that is yes. So if you're listening now and you'd like the recording later and you'd like to share that with your friends and colleagues, we will be sharing that with you at a later date. The question from an anonymous attendee, he or she is saying, as the IGS has recently raised the membership fees, what additional benefits and services are planned for the future?
All right. I think that I will mention it on the influential side. So yes, we did increase the fees in Rome. How we're planning to use those funds is actually what I was mentioning earlier on, is to create synergy with sister societies and also non-engineering societies. So creating platform of engagement through meetings, workshop, conference. So all of this, you can imagine the cost behind in terms of time that goes behind arranging those multilateral workshop. For instance, I can think of the Environmental Protection Agency, the DOTs, or the Department of Transport of the likes. So trying to create platform from national level all the way to international level, and trying to share the benefit of geosynthetics. Also trying to create common understanding of what is geosynthetics. Sometimes geosynthetics are difficult to understand for non-geosynthetics people. So the increase in fees is exactly to have an injection of time and development to create the relationship. Remember, being influential is part of having a relationship with all these society. We see FedEx through SSMG, SRM, EAG. Thank you.
Thanks, Edoardo. And a question here, who's saying, this is from Ashok Kumar. Hello, sir. Good day. What type of geosynthetics are most effective and useful in asphalt reinforcement, in your experience, in terms of mitigation of delamination at the interface of interlayer and asphalt mix. I hope that means something to you. But what type of geosynthetics are the most effective and useful in asphalt reinforcement?
Arthur, thank you for the question. It's quite a highly technical question. We need to see what type of asphalt you're looking at, the thickness of the asphalt, but I think there is so much knowledge around geosynthetics now that we do know that you have from geotextiles to geogrades, and they do serve different purpose. So I think I like to say that we mustn't start with the product in mind. We must start with the solution in mind. So trying to answer your question, you need to say, we need to check what's your design. We need to check the aggregate side. We need to look at your traffic benefit that you're trying to achieve. But if you look in literature, even a non-woven geotextile gives you traffic benefit ratio that is worthwhile to consider, all the way to high stiffness geogrades. So it all really depends of your design criteria and what you're trying to achieve.
Thank you, Edoardo. And here's another question from a listener in Texas. The IGS benefits substantially from having active chapter members and IGS leadership composed of practicing engineers that are actively designing with geosynthetics, such as yourself. Can you speak to the importance of IGS chapters in reaching out to this important community to join the IGS? How can we attract more practicing engineers to the IGS?
Alice, that's a great question. I love it. It is exactly what we are trying to do. We have about 3,000 members. We got 50 IGS chapters. And yes, you have the big ones and you have the small ones. But each and every one of us is an IGS member, and we like geosynthetics. I like to say that the IGS is actually almost an elite society. We're not massive. We're not 10,000, 20,000 like other society. We're actually fairly small. And if we can develop those relationships at chapter level, I've seen it in South Africa, that you just need someone that knows geosynthetics, that knows what you're talking about, you knows the pros, you knows the cons, and you just try to showcase the benefit of using geosynthetics to someone else. Just one colleague, a friend, a client, and you will see that over a period of time, very short period of time, you actually create bubbles of geosynthetics enthusiasts. I'll tell you a story where I did a project and the client did not know geosynthetics. And I showcased it to him, I presented it, and he really didn't like it. I said, but those people, IGS, is publishing papers. We have 2 journals, we have conference, we successfully showing the benefit of geosynthetics. And he says, okay, you know how the clients are. They look at you like, okay, but you're the professional, it's your PI, you do it. And funny enough, a few years later, he still calls me because he wants to use geosynthetics everywhere. So that is I think are good stories. And actually it's becoming quite challenging because sometimes I have to tell him, no, that's not a geosynthetic application. But then we need to develop a geosynthetic that does that. I tell him, it's like the IGS is working on it. So that is each and every one of us. I see that there are a few people joined together. I do see all of you at conference. That is where we're going to start. That's where geosynthetics starts with each and every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Edoardo. Question here from Philippe Grimmelprez. And by the way, if anyone else wants to ask questions, plenty of time, keep giving the questions in to us and we'll keep using them. But Philippe Grimmelprez is saying, thank you for this great initiative. For over 25 years, I've been involved in the industry, half of which I spent my time in Europe, and now I'm in the Middle East. And I share the same passion on geosynthetics as many people here today. As seen on the slide that you showed earlier, Edoardo, the Middle East is a bit of a grey zone for IGS activity. I'm in the process of setting up my own company called GEPS Global, based in Dubai, and I share the views and the vision of what's presented in the IGS. He then says, can this be used also as I'm preparing my website now for the region? So I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think the essential question is, Edoardo, can you say a bit more about the IGS's presence in the Middle East, what that is now, and how it might grow in the future?
Yeah, Philip, thanks for the question. The Middle East, we know it's a huge market. We have brought Middle East inside the regional chapter for Africa because there is a link between Africa and Middle East. So if you look at the north of Africa, it's more Middle East. And I think we have engaged previously with Dubai, with the Emirates, with Qatar, trying to establish an IGS chapter. Unfortunately, we don't have it as yet. There have been a lot of talks. So Philip, maybe he will be the next IGS chapter present in the Middle East that we can put a flag on it, because that's one thing we need. We need people there, and we need to have people that are enthusiastic about IGS, and consider that you have joined this and you spent 25 years. Maybe you're the right person to put together a chapter. Coming to the presentation, that I leave it to the executive director to make the call. I'm not really sure if we can share those type of contents.
Well, we can certainly share this presentation. So all of these sessions this week are going to be recorded, and we're very, very happy to share them on our own website. If you wish to link to them from your website, that's absolutely fine, but hosted on our website. So I just a question, just to build on some of that. How are we going to be influential perhaps in some regions where we may not have a chapter, or where the chapters are very small, and yet the market for the use of geosynthetics is very important, and the Middle East is one example of that. But Edoardo, can you say a little bit about the interplay in how we are influential where there is a chapter, and perhaps where we're influential where a chapter doesn't yet exist?
Yeah, sitting in South Africa, sitting in Africa, I've seen the establishment of several chapters, and it just starts with one relationship. The story of Egypt, Ghana, South Africa, they were all relationship of one-to-one person sitting in a conference that says, hey, why don't you have a chapter? You should really have a chapter. And all of a sudden you have a seminar, conference is very daunting and lots of hours and lots of sleepless nights. So you say, well, I'll fly down, I'll do a seminar across three cities. We talk about, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about environmental protection, roads, or reinforced soil walls. And all of a sudden you create that mass, the mass of people, that interest. And I've seen that leads to a chapter, because people do see the benefit. So you just need a spark for establishing a chapter. The IGS is what we call ambassadors program. I've been part of a few. It means taking high-profile people, highly technical people, and we send them to country. For instance, let's say the Middle East, to create these seminars, and we can support, and the IGS supports that, to try to see if there is critical mass to have an IGS chapter. The same, John, applies to, we discuss about small chapters. Small chapters, why there is a small chapter? What is for instance, the percentage of IGS members compared to the geotechnical society of the country, of the environmental society of the country? And then you can quickly see if you have enough critical mass, because maybe it's really the country is so small that you can't grow more than that. And I see that our influential work will end when every engineer in the environmental protection sector or in the geotechnical sector is part of IGS member. And that is, if you want to do it, it's a very quick to check. Usually all those numbers are published online. And you can see what is your factor. And when you get to 100%, it means that you have achieved to be influential across your country. So I think to summarize, the IGS is what we call IGS Ambassadors Program that can be used. Really needs an email to the regional chair or through the executive director, or at least our secretariat, or reach out to us. All our contact details are available. And trying to establish what we call this IGS ambassador, which is a few days traveling around and trying to exploit if we can have a critical mass to establish a chapter.
Thanks, Edoardo. And reminder to everyone, keep the questions coming in because we will try and get to them all. Here's one from an anonymous attendee who says, I've started a company in Algeria. Obviously, that's in North Africa, as we all know. The aim is to provide geosynthetic solutions in civil engineering projects. Now, given that Africa is a big market, what's your advice to push the industry here in North Africa, and how can we connect with people in the industry? Thank you in advance.
Yeah, thank you. In Algeria, we tried to add a chapter. I think the legislation did not really favor the establishment of the chapter, but they nonetheless, excluding the regulation, trying to get geosynthetic across North Africa. You have actually we have few manufacturers in North Africa. You have a very well-established geosynthetic industry up there. So I think it's just a matter of getting to know the people that do use geosynthetics. Unfortunately, we call ourselves one continent, but within Africa, the north and the south, you're actually much closer to John sitting in the UK than to me sitting in South Africa. So unfortunately, distance and flights sometimes take a toll. So for me to come to you takes me almost 2 days, where I think for John might take a few hours.
Thanks, Edoardo. I think you've just invited me to go to Algeria. So looking forward to that. Question here from Maria Ferentino, who says, hello, thanks for the excellent talk. Can you please comment on the experience with the Geosynthetics Sustainability Benefits Calculator? Is it embraced by the industry?
Maria, actually, in fact, I'll say hi to Maria. I know her personally. We work together here in South Africa. The sustainability calculator has been launched. We launched it in Rome. I believe it's available. You need to reach out to the secretariat. I think we're still on what we call draft phase, so we haven't disclosed it yet to the industry. But please, if you would like to reach out or have a look at the sustainability calculator, please reach out to IGS Secretariat that she can give you access to that. And we look forward to your comments. Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Edoardo. I'll maybe just add to that. So the calculator's out there. It's available for our members to use. The way to do it, as Edoardo said, go to the website. You'll find all of the frequently asked questions there. You'll see the link to request a login through the IGS Secretariat, Elise Oatman. You'll also need to register with a company called One Click LCA, which provides the platform for the calculator. And what you'll be able to do at the moment is go in and see templates which show you typical calculations which illustrate the benefit of using geosynthetics in particular applications. That's all free, and you can access that now. If you'd like to use the tool for your own purposes, then you will need to purchase a license through One Click LCA, for which there is an exclusive discount for IGS members. But we have just launched it, as Edoardo said. We really want people to take a look at it, and we really, really want to hear your feedback, because once we get your feedback, we can work out how best to optimize this for your benefit. As I said earlier, please keep the questions coming in. Edoardo, can I put in a question just on this topic of influential? If there were, say, 1, 2, maybe 3 top priorities where the IGS really should be more influential than it is today or has been in the past, what would your priority themes be?
Thanks, John. I think that in terms of priority to be influential, I keep on going back to relationship. I do see that the IGS has grown exponentially over the past 10, 20 years, and it's because of the the type of relationship we have across the world, and not only at an international level, but also at local level. We do see those relationship with other society that see a boost in the use of geosynthetics. And I think, like I was mentioning earlier, the developing, being influential, trying by building a relationship with users of geosynthetics. A lot of the time, conferences are held amongst the usual, what we call the usual suspect with our geosynthetics people. I've attended a few weeks ago a conference on waste management. And quite interesting, there was only a few of us that knew geosynthetics. We're using with clients, with stakeholders, with owners of waste management facility, listening to how you can increase the waste facility by steepening the slope, or how you're gonna solve problem of gas collection, or how you're gonna develop energy out of that. So I think that is a way that the IGS is gonna become more influential, is through building those relationships, not amongst us. We are, like I say, we know all very well. It's reaching out to the non-geosynthetics people, to even sometimes the non-engineering company or society. I mentioned the World Bank or the UNEP, the environmental agency. Those are the ones that need to know geosynthetics, because those are the ones that manage projects. When you work for the World Bank, they are a project manager. They don't have the details of that. But if they see the benefit of using geosynthetics, then they will ask. That I can tell you, they will ask, because there is a cost benefit associated to that. There is a quality, an increasing quality by the use of geosynthetics. So it's almost impossible not for them to disregard them.
Thank you, Edoardo. And I think just a question out there for everyone that's listening, you can tell us where you think we need to be more influential, because we have a view on what we think from what we hear, what's important for us to influence on. But there may be important factors where you work or where you're studying, where you're active, where you're seeing issues which you think your society should really be addressing. And if we don't know about that, then we don't know how to be influential on it. So if there are issues you see that you think we should be addressing, please tell us what they are. Please tell us who it is you think we should be influencing. And that is really valuable information for us to take forward in our planning for all of our activities. Here's another question, Edoardo. We've got a strong track record of producing journals and academic papers. That gives us a great deal of authority and credibility. So isn't that enough? Aren't we just influential by the fact that we have those things? Why isn't that enough?
I think our technical knowledge is outstanding, and I mentioned earlier the use of our journals, of our proceedings in our industry is fundamental for the use of geosynthetics. So indeed, all the research and everything all the research are working on geosynthetics is just marvelous. Every time I go to conference and I see a PhD or professor disclosing or presenting their results, that shows that the industry is moving forward. If I look at what we used to do 10 years in reinforced soil walls, that's not what we do today. Same in roads or in environmental protection. So we do need the technical advancement. That's really the backbone of engineering and geosynthetics. But also we need to remember that we're sitting with contractors, for instance, that they want to understand the cost effectiveness of geosynthetics. They want to understand, why am I using this geosynthetic rather than any other material? What is the benefit on it? And also discuss maybe with regulators, with authorities, with the standard authority, why we using geosynthetics to manage risk. in our career, engineers tend to be managing risk. And using geosynthetics, what actually you are doing, you're limiting liability. That's what boils down to. I mentioned it earlier. Every time I use a geosynthetic, I can sleep at night because I know exactly what's manufactured. Of course, making sure that there is a manufacturing quality control and manufacturing quality assurance in place. So I think the journal indeed is the backbone, is a tool to be influential. That will not become as influential. To become influential is using them across contractors, across authority, across your clients to discuss about cost, liability, risk, environmental benefits such as sustainability. That will be for us influential.
Thank you, Edoardo. Now, there's no more questions coming through, so it's the last call for any more questions. If you have something you'd like to ask, or even just a comment you'd like to make, this is your last chance. I want to come right through. So Thomas Adjetti has said, thanks very much for your introductions. I wish to know more about your outreach in the non-engineering sector. How are the responses from the non-engineering sector? Currently, the world is looking at deep geological repository. How can the IGS contribute to this challenge? So that's very much building on what you were just saying, Edoardo. The non-engineering sector, how is that responding to what we have to say?
Yeah, Thomas, thank you. I think that's what we call a medium long term. So we have to sort it out. We're busy sorting out few short terms. Reaching out to non-engineering society, it's a part of a very long term. Becoming influential to, like you mentioned, the mining houses. That's really going to take a lot of time. And what we're thinking is to reach out at different level. So we will reach out at national level through the chapter, reaching out at the international level through the IGS International and the international societies, and trying to create a common ground. You mentioned the mining houses. The mining houses don't understand geosynthetics. They don't see it. They understand the risk. That is what they understand. So they don't want to know what is a geogrid compared to a geomembrane or a geocomposite drain. They want to know what is the risk mitigation associated to him. So all those conversation needs to be expanded beyond the technology of geosynthetics, which I think I mentioned earlier and John confirmed. It's about talking about liability, talking about risk, talking about cost. And I think we have some work to do on that before reaching out to them. Thank you.
And here's another great question, which I'm sure a lot of people will be wondering about, but it's important to ask. Sidali Buzbachi is saying, I'm a beginner, and as a beginner, where can I learn about geosynthetics and its possible applications? Now, I don't know whether Sidali is a student or a practicing engineer, but either way, they don't know much about geosynthetics and they want to know where to start. How would you advise Sidali?
Totally, I think that's great. Like I mentioned before, in my university career, which was just yesterday, was only 15 years ago, I wasn't exposed to geosynthetics. So there is as soon as you graduate, you have to reach out to the geosynthetic community as soon as possible to get through, to get to know geosynthetics. And our technical committee, I think that's a great place to start. They are present on LinkedIn. They do workshops, seminars. So I think it's just connected to the right people, and you just get to see the benefit of using geosynthetics. And then you can reach out to the technical expert to get further detail. But everything, reach out on what we call this platform of engagement, which is just a webinar or a LinkedIn workshop. So you can sit at home and there is a workshop in Australia and the US and you join that. So that is really where the geosynthetic knowledge sits for someone that wants to get out. And I think geosynthetic IGS is the platform for it. If you go on our website, you follow us, you will see that we host all those knowledge-based platforms that you can reach out.
Thank you, Edoardo. Now, there are no more questions, so I'm going to close the questions there and just hand to you one last time. Edoardo, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to make?
First of all, thank you, everyone. It was thank you for all of you for attending. I think in terms of influential, my last comment is that it sits with every one of us. If you are a IGS member or not even IGS member, if you're geosynthetic, trying to target yourself, to share your knowledge, to get your colleague next to you on your desk or your client to use geosynthetic one more time. And by that said, it means that every year we keep on growing. And if you use what we call the appropriate use of geosynthetic, we will see that in few years, a lot of people will use geosynthetic because there is advantage of using it. So I think that is, each and every one of us is influential to the growth of geosynthetic. It's not just the IGS, it's the entire engineering community that uses geosynthetics.
Thank you, Edoardo. So we're going to wrap up there. Thanks to everybody who joined today. There will be a recording of this event along with all the others this week, and we'll be sharing those in our channel. So if you had to leave early or you didn't catch the beginning, there'll be another opportunity to listen to this. Don't forget that shortly after this webinar, we're going to have our second event of the week, starting at 8 a.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Universal Time, so about 14 minutes from now, when Professor Jorge Zornberg is going to be presenting on the power behind learning geosynthetics, which will be moderated by Edoardo. So please join us for that. It's the same Zoom link as for this session, so it couldn't be easier. And we look forward to seeing you all there. And don't forget, you can still register for the remaining sessions running every day this week. Thank you very much. And for the next 10 minutes or so, goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.